The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by BankPlus. BankPlus, it's more than a name, it's a promise.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the BankPlus Studio.
This is now warning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Lowbound. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Well, we may make it official today. Blake could be going to the transfer portal. We'll keep you updated. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. I'd like to get your feedback on the Ag Up Equipment text line if you believe that now is the time for Blake to hit the transfer portal. Our text line is 601-885-3776. It's powered by Ag Up Equipment and your next John Deere tractor. For your family, land, farm, and hunting camp, all three, all the above, one of the three, two of the three, John Deere, America's tractor. From Ag Up Equipment that was Mississippi Ag. Good morning, welcome in. We are powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. That place will be hopping this weekend with the NFL both on Saturday and Sunday. You get a mid-afternoon game and a night game. Get Dak Prescott. Night game. Woo! And it probably going to be cold in Philly. Mr. Prescott and the Cowboys travel to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to play the red-hot Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Something to keep an eye on. Dak usually doesn't play well in super cold weather. Although he's won at Green Bay, he's won at Pittsburgh, and he's won at New England. And he owns New York and New York. But it's interesting that maybe that's a lot of times, we point that out on the show. People start saying things, and then I don't know if that's true or not. He's won at Green Bay. Okay. He beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's won at New England. He's won at the Meadowlands several times. Yep. I don't know, Blakey Blakester. Maybe that's wrong.
I think a lot of quarterbacks struggle in bad cold weather.
Yeah. That's what Favre and Eli, man, they really, I guess when you play in it, you're going to have some good games in it. And those guys could manage it and so on.
I would say Favre and Rodgers for sure. Eli, I would put in the category of there's plenty of times I can point to bad games in cold weather. He also had some good moments in cold weather, too. Dak hadn't had as many opportunities to have said moments.
Well, no,
right?
He plays 8 games like Drew. He plays 8 games indoors at Jerry's World. Yep. And then, when you travel, of course, it's weird the division they're in because they're in the NFC East, even though they're in Texas. So they play at Washington, at Philly, and at New York every single year. This year they played in New England too because they drew the
Patriots is their AFC.
Yeah.
It's a weird setup.
It is a weird. It's been like that, but it is a weird setup. So anyway, all right. We're also brought to you by DancingRabbitGolf.com. You can hit us up on the Farm Bureau Insurance call-in line, 601-707-3750. Twitter handle. I haven't checked the Twitters. Twitter.
Is it still up?
At BowBounds. Well, I hope so. I mean, what would everybody do?
Yeah,
everybody just have to go back home and get in bed.
How would we do our job?
Good grief. Oh, man, Kendall Collins coming in hot.
I know.
One of your good friends.
That was rude.
Wow. One of our executive chefs of the show, Kendall Collins, coming in hot. Who would be willing to take him?
That's rude.
Oh,
That's
man.
Rude. The high Saturday for Philadelphia is 32 degrees.
32.
It's the high.
I don't think Miss Wendy and I are going to be making that trip.
Nope.
No.
No, that's not a fan base. This is so funny that you just said that because we didn't talk about this in pre-show. But yesterday I had a conversation with someone about the Manning cast.
which I love.
I did too, and they had never watched it, and they were like,
"No,
this was someone who's a little bit probably your age, yeah, and it would fall in your wheelhouse." And they had not watched the Manning, and they're like, "Why? It seems like it's a lot to follow, like them trying to talk and the game." I'm like, "No, they maybe do too many interviews for my taste, but it's good. It's good, and some of the interviews are really good, right?
No doubt."
But we were talking about some of the funniest moments or some of the moments that stood out from the season. And the one that stood out to me was Eli Manning when they talked about fan bases that were awful to him. And he talked about being at the Eagles in Philly and having
the kid flipping him the bird.
2 11-year-olds giving him the bird.
Yeah.
And then he does it on
hardcore
TV.
Philly, man.
And it was just funny, man. And it just made me think, like you said, that if you're going to make a trip somewhere, if you're going to road trip, whether it's in the SEC or in the NFL, there's not many places I don't want to go more than I don't want to go to Philadelphia.
Well, there's some similarities between like going to LSU and going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
No doubt.
You have to be ready for the corn dogs to give you the bird or throw something at you or on you.
Hostility.
See, I'm past the point in my life where I want a 7-7 thrown on me. First of all, I don't want anything sticky, okay?
Heard.
But for whatever reason, people still gravitate to crappy drinking in football, like bourbon and Coke. I've never been a bourbon and Coke. First of all, way too much syrup, run suburban, whatever. But you remember y'all probably, I don't know if y'all drank, y'all probably didn't.
Yes.
But when I was growing up at Veterans Memorial Stadium, there were enough Seagram 7 bottles left over after an Ole Miss or Mississippi State game or a combo if you had a doubleheader. Okay, Blake, to fill up the reservoir.
There's no doubt. And LSU, one of my favorite stories about LSU and hostile crowds is when John Bond talks about trying to talk to an official about a penalty and having a 7 bottle fly across his feet on the middle of the field in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So
now, that was a more rustic,
correct, no doubt,
rough around the edges South.
But
right?
it's emblematic,
well, we didn't
I guess.
really act right.
Yeah, but it represents that animosity that LSU fans are so notarized for, right?
No doubt.
In SEC football lore, it's LSU. But I would say I've been to a lot of stadiums. Georgia was the most aggressively hostile fan base.
That surprises me because when I've been to Athens, I've always had Georgia as the golf clap group, like Texas, way more Texas Longhorns than LSU Tigers or Philadelphia Eagles, because to me they were the Martini and Merlot crowd. It was, oh, good, we're here.
See, I think that is true. I think you probably sat in that area. I was with my cousin. We were in the upper section. We were with the commoners.
Okay,
what we call the po folk.
Yeah,
as so well known around here.
Got it.
And those people, as I think Ryan Fowler tells us, Alabama arrogance with Vanderbilt's trophy case. That was Georgia football. We were Mississippi State. We had just beaten LSU 37-7. Dan Mullen.
That was in Starkville.
LSU was. We went to Georgia the next week.
Oh, yeah.
I went with my cousin who's from Georgia.
Yeah.
Lives an hour and a half away or whatever from Athens.
Cousin Bill?
No, yeah. And we went and we were in Mississippi State shirts. Remember, Georgia completed a flea flicker on third down of that game or second down the first series. The
Todd
second
Grantham
or third down. And it was
everybody
over from there.
Yeah.
I don't think we got a first down for like a quarter and a half.
They didn't.
They
put 9 in the box, and
they treated
Fitz
us like we were Florida and we played every year and we were despicable to their mothers.
Wow.
It was we were just like, we're getting killed. Why are
But
you?
now you're known to pipe
No,
off.
it wasn't that. No.
Okay.
We expected to lose that game, I think, a little bit. We thought we'd play well, but no, as soon as that game went the way it went, we're just sitting up there we're like, first down, all right.
There's too many good bars. I hope you left. And restaurants.
Yeah. So Georgia was
They
one
have
of the
great local places.
Georgia fans were not nice. They were not nice people.
Interesting. One time I went there. I've been there a couple, but one time Hines Ward scored at 5 different positions. The game was 47-0. We were back at the Ritz-Carlton in Atlanta by halftime. I mean, in sometime in the second half. It's what is it? A 55-minute drive? Yeah. We're live in the BankPlus Studio. I wasn't paying for it. My buddy's parents were. So anyway, it's not like I stayed at the Ritz all the time in college, but we did that weekend. We're live in the BankPlus Studio, out of bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook. Tom Luganville, 8:30. Welcome in. Good morning. Blake Mania may be in the transfer portal before the end of the show. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head, premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere.
What's on the big board? What's on the big board?
Good morning. The Big Board is brought to you by breakfast at Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue in Madison. Honey butter, chicken biscuit. We got to get the voiceover guy to say that in some kind of fun way. You know, like a cheesy 1987 commercial. Honey butter, chicken biscuit, breakfast burrito, hash brown bowl. Oh, gosh. Just all kinds of yummy stuff. Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue. If you're getting breakfast for the office, for my pharmaceutical reps out there, hit up Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue. Main Street in Madison. Steven took over a really cool building and made it, like, super awesome. Of course, they're also open for lunch and dinner with great burgers. Their onion rings are amazing, and they have cold beer. So, Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue. Main Street, Madison. Open for breakfast Monday through Saturday. Smash a burrito or a honey butter chicken biscuit. Well, we may get you to say voiceover honey butter
chicken biscuit.
No, you just went radio voice and that was terrible. I want it more like a cereal commercial of like a bunch of voices excited about
like the
Cocoa Puffs. Yeah. But I also need it like a chant at a football game. You know, like, let's go Rebels, let's go Bold, honey butter, chicken biscuit, right?
It sounds like you have a creative vision for this.
I do. I've created this show, the studio.
Oh, man.
Well, we have to create a show every day.
That's true.
And we've got a good one today.
Speaking of...
All right, the Big Board, real quick, is brought to you by the honey butter chicken biscuit. At Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue, Main Street, Madison. Go ahead.
So speaking of creativity and fun things and creating stuff, we were talking about terrible fan bases. Is there anything more apropos to explain who Philadelphia is than that they booed Santa and they were the first NFL franchise to have a jail in their stadium?
No. You have a friend that lives there.
That's Philly, baby.
He's a Greek Orthodox priest. And, I listen to his stories.
Oh.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from here. I mean, obviously.
The confessions
he grew up here.
He gets.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah.
You know, his parishioners.
They do everything 100%.
Oh.
They work.
It's just like Louisiana.
They work hard and they play hard.
Yeah.
And they cheer hard.
And they complain hard.
There's no doubt.
Right?
There's no doubt.
And they argue hard. It's just like, I mean, if you get, it's same thing when I was tied into the Baton Rouge company out of grad school. I mean, they had one speed on everything.
Everything. Crawfish boil, 110%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is that makes sense that Baton Rouge is just Cajun Philly because that fits Will Wade's the American Gangsta.
Will Wade is the American Gangster.
And
he's probably tied into the mob.
That's what I'm saying. Doesn't that make sense now that, like, that's why he fits in Baton Rouge? Because it's just Cajun Philly.
Interesting.
I've never put that together. Give me your most hostile fan base in SEC. Is it LSU?
Most hostile fan base in the SEC. Yeah, I go LSU.
I think it has to be.
I mean, when they're roaring on a Saturday night.
There's no doubt.
And the booze has been flowing for 12, 14, 16 hours going into a night game. I mean, when they cook hard. Like you said, they cheer hard. They party hard. They work hard. They lose hard. Ed Orgeron got them their first losing season since 1999. That's a good point.
They just do it all the way, baby.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
When they implode, They implode hard.
Insubordination. Edo.
Woo!
Speaking of, let me look at this score real quick. I was watching. I did not finish the game. I went to bed super early last night.
Talking about the Texas Bowl?
No. LSU beat Kentucky in basketball.
In basketball, yeah, they did.
The American Gangster is 13-1.
Yep.
They're 1-1. I didn't know that they had lost their first game. We haven't really turned the
page. Do you know who
in
they
the
lost
hoops.
to?
Auburn.
The only dirtier coach in the league, Bruce Pearl.
Well, guess who won last night too?
Bruce Pearl.
Auburn beat South Carolina.
God don't play, dog.
Auburn's 13-1, and so the two dudes, right? The two dirty, and I get that all of college basketball is dirty, but the American Gangster and the other guy that came back from a show cause to lead Auburn to a Final Four. Will Wade. All right, how about this? Is a better way to put it. Combined, LSU and Auburn are 26-2.
Is that good?
Oh yeah. In college basketball,
here's the problem.
You've got, even when you're good, Blake, you got another 100 teams that can beat you in college basketball.
Well, yeah, it only takes
because
like
the
2 good
3-point
shooters.
line.
Yeah,
You saw what Ole Miss and State struggled with a couple of teams in the non-conference because they came in and shot 47. If somebody drops 47% on you from 3-point land on a night,
good luck.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. We've seen that story about 100 times over the last 20 years.
These schools that have
Winthrop.
I
think about that all the time.
Like you said, 2 shooters.
Richmond, the Spiders, dude. I remember they did that.
Liberty beat Ben Howland.
Mississippi State. And speaking of Ben Howland, this is where I was going with this too. You know why Auburn and LSU are fun? A, they win. Obviously, winning is fun. That's the number one thing. But B, their coaches are aggressive, in-your-face gangsters.
Right.
You know who's not that? The 2 grandpas we have in Oxford and Starkville.
Wow.
Okay? There's a reason you haven't heard a lick about State and Ole Miss basketball. It's not fun.
I think they're both good guys. I think what you're saying is neither one of them is interesting, and you are correct.
Or fun, or entertaining.
Like Mike Leach is the pirate, and he's quirky and weird. And Lane Kiffin is the Lane Train, and he's quirky and weird. Those guys are...
And they also run fun offenses. Neither of our guys run fun offenses.
They're just... I don't know. It's like a crappy cereal without milk. I mean, I don't. It's just not any good.
You know what?
It's like give me a brand cereal with no sugar or no blueberries or strawberry or something to add to it.
Sam Pittman just put together Arkansas's best football season since 2011, so a decade. Doesn't feel like it's that long ago, but that's a long time. A decade. This is the best season in 10 years.
Mike Leach's daddy?
Hello. So I get on the 247 message boards for Arkansas to see if they're talking about the potentiality that Kendall Briles could be gone. We've heard rumors that Mario Cristobal is looking at him at Miami. But you know what a lot of their top topics are on 247? It's about Eric Musselman and the Arkansas basketball team. Okay? They're good. They're not great, but they're interesting. They play fun basketball. They play fun offense.
Of course, Mississippi State
beat them.
Just beat Arkansas.
And beat them pretty handedly to start the SEC season.
You got to give. I know you hate Ben Howland.
It's not that. It's not that their teams are necessarily terrible. They're not. They're better. Ben Howland's team is better now than it's been since he's been there. I acknowledge that because he had to build up.
Yeah,
he had to build up out of nothing.
Okay.
It still doesn't make him good for the future of SEC basketball and for Mississippi State. Same way Kermit's offense and what they're doing in Oxford isn't where you need to be if you're Ole Miss.
I agree. Both men are boring. Good guys, good coaches. Probably not going to do anything special. But you're not going to be bottom of the. You're not going to be Rick Ray.
But you look around and you see Nate Oates at Alabama.
Rod Barnes lost it at the end.
Nate Oates, Alabama. Bruce Pearl, Auburn. Will Wade, LSU, Musselman, Arkansas, and then you look at what you have.
Those guys are assassins.
So I'm just saying,
okay.
You have upped the ante in your commitment to football and baseball,
and they're both getting paid $3 million a year for a sport that most people don't care about.
Yeah,
like in the SEC Insider Hit next, we're going to go over could Kevin Smith, Ole Miss's running backs coach, go to Miami? And what's incredible is people are more interested in that
than basketball. Yep.
Mississippi State or Ole Miss playing. And by the way, they played this weekend in Oxford
against each other. Yeah.
Okay. So and then they turn around a week and a half. They're going to knock out their 2 games in January. Doesn't usually happen.
That's if they can play because State and Ole Miss have both had some miss.
Well, Missouri was the reason why that game was canceled. But Mississippi State and Ole Miss play in the Pavilion this weekend, this Saturday. How about that, Hotshot? The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Superior Foundation for all your foundation repairs. Superior Foundation. SEC Insider Hit next.
The Out of Bounds Show podcast is powered by Breezy Oaks Ranch. For Mississippi-raised premium Wagyu beef and heritage pork shipped straight to your door, visit breezyoaksranch.com.
Check it out. This is the SEC Insider Hit. It's driven by the John Deere tractors at Mississippi Ag. Visit agup.com to find a retail location near you.
Let's go.
Right. Strong rumors that Blake Mania may hit the transfer portal today. We're going to monitor that throughout the show. Good morning. Welcome in. Some of you may need to hit the transfer portal. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. On the Ag Up equipment, we'll talk about this a good bit. Mississippi Ag is now Ag Up equipment, and you can hit us up on the Ag Up Equipment text line. The texts today are in fuego. Really, really good. 601-885-3776. Kendall really got us started off when I said that Blake may enter the transfer portal, and he said, who would be willing to take him? Now, James...
Hot garbage.
Okay. James countered on the Ag Up Equipment text line. And he said, Blake ain't going nowhere. And then we had some, the real Eric. Are you leaving, man? No. So he does have as many people that don't like Blake.
That's right.
Because of his hot takes. There are listeners who enjoy Blake's commentary dialogue. Even if they disagree with it. So there you go. The Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. We've got stories for days. Rumors that Kevin Smith, Ole Miss's running back coach, may be going to Miami. Rumors that Kendall Briles, Mario Cristobal, the head coach for the your Miami Hurricanes, that maybe Kendall Briles is being recruited.
Cristobal going to run Dabo out of the ACC?
We are going to get into that in a second. We are, as the show unfolds. And then Mike Leach has to fill a spot on his staff. It's the inside wide receivers coach, whatever you want to do with that. But bottom line is, it needs to be a stealth-like recruiter, and so there's talk on the street and scuttlebutt that Mike likes to promote from within, and that an offensive analyst who's never recruited could be the guy there.
Don't do it anymore.
Or Leach could go outside and bring in a guy that could, recruit, and obviously he could learn the concepts of the air raid. There's plenty of guys on that side of the football that know it. So Kiffin may have another opening to fill. We know Charlie Weiss Jr. is now at Ole Miss as the OC. And Will Hall, Southern Miss coach. Strong rumors coming out of Hattiesburg that John Rice Plumlee will not be going to Southern Miss.
Whoa.
And that he will either be going to Central Florida or somewhere else. And that the Southern Miss football staff is in on Ty Keys, who is a very athletic and talented young man from the state of Mississippi. and that they believe that this guy from Taylorsville, and Taylorsville has produced some ridiculous football talent over the years. Again, there's these pockets around the state that you just go, what in the world's going on? In a good way. And so Ty Keys, Taylorsville, looks like the future at Southern Miss. We talked to some people within the program, and they really, really like him. Also, Jim Harbaugh. Rumors that Harbaugh may be Michigan's head coach, former Michigan QB. He may be interested in going to the NFL.
Ooh, Kirby beat the college out of him?
Wow. In the NFL, Jim Harbaugh was 44-19-1. And he took over a San Francisco 49ers team that had not had a winning season. Wait for it. Kind of Dan Mullen-esque. In 8 seasons.
No way.
I'm just telling you what happened. Had not had a winning season in 8 years, and Harbaugh, of course, took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. They went 44-19-1. Harbaugh has a relationship with Las Vegas Raiders owner. Mark Davis. Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis. Okay? And so that would be another big job. Even though it's a huge job, alumni base, money, all that. And they can win. I don't think they'll win the national championship unless they have some kind of, Dak, Matt Corral, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence type quarterback. Because you got to overcome, the Georgia, Alabama, even Ohio State, but some other teams too. But the bottom line is there are rumors that Harbaugh may consider an NFL job and that he has a great relationship with Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. And Harbaugh spent the 2003 season with what was then the Oakland Raiders. There's a great piece on the athletic.com that hit yesterday by Bruce Feldman on Harbaugh and whether or not he would go to the NFL. One other thing that really jumped out at me in that article was the fact that he did not want to leave Michigan until he beat Ohio State. It meant that much to him. He was a quarterback there. He had a great record against Ohio State in the 80s, went on to spend 15 years in the NFL. So Kevin Smith, running backs coach at Ole Miss, is he leaving? Who knows? What will Mike Leach do with one of his wide receiver coaches as far as a new hire? Who knows? And we still have transfer portal stuff galore. Caleb Williams is in the transfer portal. Hotshot Oklahoma quarterback. Dylan Gabriel is now going to Oklahoma. Somewhat, I don't want to say hotshot quarterback. But anyway, he's talented. I want to get more on this from Tom Luganbill at 8:30 because Tom looks at, the film on all these guys and checks it out. What do you have, Blake?
All right, I got a couple different questions for you. So first, let's stay on Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh made the playoff. Michigan's never done that. He beat Ohio State. It feels like Michigan's never done that. And he put together arguably one of the best seasons in Michigan history, right? Outside of a claimed national title in the 90s.
So it was a great season, man.
So he built them out of really abject comedy, right? Like Michigan was a laughingstock of college football when he got there. And he's built them into, they actually played for a playoff, okay? They beat Ohio State. They made the playoff. Did Jim Harbaugh peak at Michigan this season?
Yes.
Can he stay on this mountaintop? Or
not every year. Can he go back? Absolutely. Can he win his way out of the Big Ten again? And now with an expanded college football playoff, which we are getting any day now, absolutely Jim Harbaugh could stay at Michigan. And as this thing goes to 12, he doesn't even have to win the Big Ten. He could have an amazing year, lose to Ohio State, still go 11-1 or 10-2, still be ranked 11th in the country, and still go to the college football playoff. Your question also is, can he take it to another level and win the Natty? Probably not, and here's why. Because of where they recruit. And Harbaugh, who he would need to land an absolute baller. There's rumors that they're in the market for Caleb Williams, but who isn't, right? I mean, Ole Miss is trying to get in the market for Caleb Williams. I mean, what kind of name, image, likeness deal is Caleb Williams going to get offered? $1 million?
Probably.
You know, there's rumors that A&M just spent millions and millions and millions of dollars legally on their recruiting class, which is the best recruiting class in the history of college football. And not only did they finish number one, but they absolutely smoked Alabama and Georgia at the end, landing 6 5-star players and 19 4-stars. I mean, Jimbo just went ahead and signed 28 people. He may sign more, but he has 6 5-stars and 19 4-stars, and there's rumors that some people are saying north of $20 million. That sounds crazy to me, but even if they spent millions through NIL deals and creating LLCs to lure recruits from around the country, that's impressive. One thing that y'all are going to need, I mean, this is going to have to happen, and the SEC Insider hit this morning. I'll go into how Ole Miss and Mississippi State, they can't counter that totally, but what they're going to have to do, the state law is going to have to be rewritten, which means you're going to have to lean on your governor, your lieutenant governor, your senators, and your representatives. Your SEC Insider hit this morning is brought to you by Independent Roofing Systems. Independent Roofing, the number one commercial roofing company in the state of Mississippi. Roofing.ms. Since 1980, their work speaks for itself, locally owned, obviously. Independent Roofing Systems, the number one commercial roofing company in Mississippi. Roofing.ms. All right. So, Blake, I think there's going to be an enormous amount of pressure on the Mississippi legislature, the governor and the lieutenant governor, to, what do? Add an addendum to the bill? I don't think you have to totally rewrite it here, but you're going to have to do it in a way that Texas and Florida can go out and do deals legally prior to the kid signing.
Yeah.
In other words, I can go to Blake Scott, go in your home with your parents there and go, Blake, here's what we envision for you. We're going to structure a deal where we're going to pay you $30,000 a year over 4 years. The one thing that A&M did in a smart way, too, was if you transfer, the deal's null and void.
Correct.
With every single one of their new recruits or whatever you want to call it.
Which makes sense because you no longer work for that company.
Absolutely.
It's like if you work for Dell and you go to Apple, Dell doesn't continue to pay you. It should be the same thing.
And with Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, who was the starting quarterback, hopefully, if those car dealerships did a deal, the question is the deal ongoing, even though he's at South Carolina? Or did they write into the contract that, hey, Spencer Rattler, one, if you transfer or you get benched?
See,
or
and
you tear an ACL.
That's the nuanced part of it. Okay. What happens if your performance isn't? Yeah.
Then the contract is either done or it's adjusted at a rate that we see fit.
But whatever the details, your point is right now Texas, as evidenced by A&M, was able to. And maybe there's some gray area where they didn't sign the deal, so it technically was only offered verbally or something. I don't know. But right now, Texas A&M was able to go into the high schooler's home and say, hey, high school quarterback, here's the deal we have planned for you. Come to A&M.
Right.
Mississippi State and Ole Miss can't do that.
So you're going to need to tweak the bill that is currently in place so that Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach and even Deion Sanders, although Deion may just be
doing it anyway,
doing whatever he wants, and Will Hall, among others, so that they can present it prior to them signing. And then a group of boosters go and do the deal legally, believe it or not.
Can I ask you a serious question, and this may sound crazy to you or to the listeners,
you are
but
crazy.
This is a legitimate question. Given that Mississippi State and Ole Miss have been much more top-end competitive in baseball, and we've seen Mississippi State just won a national title in baseball, so it's 100% possible.
Which makes you a national champion.
You're darn right it is.
Okay.
And a professional. We talk about limited resources all the time. There's only so much of the pie. It's why Alabama focuses so heavily on football. It's crazy. That's why baseball and basketball has been slow to catch up for Alabama. Should Mississippi State and or Ole Miss given the landscape of the SEC, be content with where they are and where their ceiling currently is, and put extra resource effort into baseball where both could potentially be national championship teams? No. So
they can already do that.
Okay.
And there's still plenty of money in these two alumni bases to also have at least a strong NIL deal for football too.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Correct.
That would be ridiculous. Now, here's what they did. This is what they did at College Station. Here's how it reportedly played out. A coach identifies a recruit that he wants to target. The coach tells a point donor. This kind of happened in football recruiting too. The point donor gathers other donors around him. Those donors create an LLC. The LLC, in turn, for a commitment, sponsors the targeted recruit. That recruit, upon arrival on campus, receives money from the LLC. In return, the recruit promotes the LLC and its cause, whether that may be a charity or a business. So there you go.
It's genius. It's crowdfunding. It's what GoFundMe is online. I mean, that's what they've put their donors into a bay, and they're crowdfunding. Out of their 10,000 donors, they're like, I need a level A, a level B, and a level C donor for this kid. And you grab one of each, you pair them all together, they all get a little bit of bang for their buck, but what they all get is pride in representing A&M.
Yeah.
That's what NIL deals are truly about. At the end of the day, if A&M boosters spent $20 million, the ROI will not be $20 million. The ROI is, let's hope we paid for a national title.
Absolutely. Or at least get, now that the college football play, this could, Jimbo's got, surely he's getting into the new college football playoff when this thing rolls out, just on talent alone, because he's trumping what Kirby's done.
But it's 1 year. He's got to keep that going.
Well, last year they had a great class too.
No, that's true.
So we'll see if the state legislature, all it takes is a few emails to senators and reps, and of course the governor and lieutenant governor, to say, hey, this bill was good, and good job for getting it going, but you have to make an addendum here that allows us to compete on the level of Texas schools and Florida schools. How is Alabama's written, by the way? Because Saban doesn't. He makes one phone call and it's done.
Does it matter?
That's a great point.
Yeah,
it's a great point.
Let me ask you this question: if you're approaching the legislature on this decision, do you go ahead and knock out the 4-year rule?
As far as contracts?
Yeah, for coaches.
That's a great will.
That's never been a problem before, but we're in a new era of college football. It could become a problem for both universities.
That's a good question.
Because if you could give a lifetime contract to a coach, you might can keep them 2 to 3 years longer than you thought you could, when they might get pulled away by another school.
Okay. All right.
Just a thought.
Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Brought to you by the Men's Clinic in Madison on Highland Colony. The Men's Clinic. TheManThing.com if you feel like you're low testosterone. Just throw out a new word. Low testosterone, low T. Then you want to go to themanthing.com. You want to call them. You want to schedule. They'll give you a free blood test, and they'll walk you through what you need. If you're low energy, losing your sex drive, the Men's Clinic in Madison on Highland Colony, Dr. Mike Manning and Dr. Cliff Adams, themanthing.com. Themanthing.com. You can get a free blood test, and they will walk you through the process pending results. Themanthing.com. Blake?
Got a question for you.
Good, because I got to get into something else.
Two-parter. Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, Dabo Swinney. All three coach at elite programs. 2 happen to be in the Big Ten. All 3 have been linked in some way, some more closely than others, to NFL jobs this offseason. So my question to you is this. It's 2-part. A, of Ryan Day, who is at Ohio State, Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, or Dabo Swinney at Clemson, which one would be the better NFL coach, and which one would be the biggest move in college? Which one would be the biggest move in college football if they left their school?
Ryan Day. Well, Ohio State's bigger than those other 2. They would all be huge. As you just said, they're all monster programs now. Even Clemson's joined the party. So that would be unbelievable, even if one leaves. But if 2 of the 3 leave, those programs to go to the NFL, whether you mentioned Jacksonville or the Las Vegas Raiders or, we're
Bears.
about to have all the firings this Monday.
Yep.
And, Chicago Bears,
Ryan
obviously.
Day's been linked to the Bears for like 8 months, it feels like.
There, and if you could convince Derek Carr to stay with the Las Vegas Raiders, man, you start on second instead of starting in the dugout.
Yep.
Like a lot of times when you take over an NFL program. So whether it's Harbaugh, Ryan Day at Ohio State, or Dabo at Clemson, one or two of the three, that would shake up the college football world once again in the next couple of weeks.
And in like February.
And Clemson,
January.
would really struggle to go get a dynamic, transcendent
Head
coach because there's just only so many of them out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now we kind of struggle after Saban to really find and Dabo, because if you played for 4 and 1-2, you're a baller.
Yeah.
Other than Dabo and Saban, a quote unquote transcendent generational championship coach. A&M still doesn't know if they have one. Georgia doesn't know if they. Although, boy, it's still leaning. You're kind of getting the sense that Georgia's got a just great shot. They're favored. All right, I got to get into something real quick. For those of you who listen to the show, and we thank you, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you going and buying steaks, burgers, and tires, and just all the cool stuff that we talk about, and car insurance, and so on. We've had a relationship for the last 8 years, 7-8 years with Four Roses Bourbon. And it was unbelievable. We got to go to Lexington, Kentucky, and Louisville, Kentucky, and we got to go to down in the basement to the VIP room and do shows from there. And they came in here and so on. And it's great juice, and we want you to continue to sip on little Four Roses Bourbon when you're hanging out. We are excited to announce a new official bourbon on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We've been working on this for, I guess it's August or September. And many of you like to drink responsibly and sip on a little bourbon by the fire pit, or when you're cooking on the grill, or watching the NFL or NFL playoffs and so on. And the bourbon game has boomed, as you know. Blake and I have been up there, and it's incredible. The Bourbon Trail and just the tourism and economic development around them. Well, we landed a big dog, and we are very, 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 very excited to welcome in Russell's Reserve. Part of the Wild Turkey family. It is their premium line, Russell's Reserve. And we're very, very, very excited. We met with the Wild Turkey crew several times. They have an unbelievable history, like so many of the bourbons out of Kentucky. We're going to share more of that with you. We're going to go up there. We've scheduled at least one trip, if not 2 trips, to go to Kentucky this year. And we're very, very excited. You've got the Russell's Reserve 10-year-old bourbon. You've got the Russell's Reserve 6-year-old rye. You've got the Russell's Reserve single barrel bourbon and the Russell's Reserve single barrel rye. We are very, very, very excited to welcome in Russell's Reserve, the premium line and part of the Wild Turkey family. And we're going to do some really, really, really cool things. So go to Briarwood Wine and Spirits or your local wine and spirit store and ask if they have it. And if they don't, please request for them to order it. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by a fantastic glass of Russell's Reserve and a premium cigar from Havana Smoke Shop by your fire pit tonight. Tom Luganville at 8:30.